I'm Beth Rapps, the creator of Claim Your Calling, teaching you 5 simple shifts that allow you to transition to following your calling while mastering your time, money, focus, and mindset. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in your calling enough to be here. It can be challenging in this world just to believe that you have a calling. I am so proud and happy to offer you this masterclass because frankly, it is going to change your life. Before we move on, I want to appreciate also your tenacity, your bravery, and your trusting of your inner knowing that led you here. I want to appreciate those things in you. Thank you. This masterclass is for soulful people who want to follow their calling, but who fear sacrificing everything they've already achieved, which I completely understand. There is no sacrifice in this masterclass. Whether you are new to your calling, you've just discovered it, you've started to feel the inner promptings, or whether you have suffered with not following it for years, and I do mean suffering, I have really come to understand it as a deep soul wound that is so easy to heal if you do what I suggest, which are the 5 shifts I'm going to teach you in this webinar. If you want to transition to following your calling starting now, stay with me. This is for you. In the next 45 minutes, it is going to be my joy to show you how you can finally stop waking up and immediately feeling a wave of dread or even nausea simply at the thought of going to work for another day, another week, for your entire life. I'm going to show you how you can drop all of the stress, all of your anxiety that arise from your current situation and actually feel excited about how you spend your time. This is normal to feel passionate and excited about how we spend our time. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to show you how to have more time, your most precious resource, more time than ever, and know just what to do with it. Not only have it, but know what to do with it. And I'm going to show you this even if time management has been a real problem for you in the past. I'm going to show you how to have more presence for the people that you love, without being consumed by the worries that are currently keeping you from focusing on them. Isn't that how it is? I've been there, and I'm there with you, and you don't have to live like that. I'm going to show you how to live with joy and purpose every single day, even if you've been stuck in minutia, even if minutia have devoured your life. And very importantly, I'm going to show you what I mean about not giving up anything that you've worked so hard to achieve. Guess what? You can make brilliant use of everything you've done and everywhere you've been in the past, and it's all an asset to following your calling. Absolutely nothing to give up. Everywhere you've been, everyone you've been, everything you've done. Imagine that treasure house becomes an asset to following your calling. So here's my promise to you. My promise to you is to share a simple step-by-step method to follow your calling without giving up what you've worked so hard to achieve. Period. Let me say 2 things before we dive into what I have to teach you. Okay? It's important that you know that this is not a magic bullet. Following your calling takes discipline, persistence, and self-love. And you can learn all of those things. That's really important that you understand that. This feels like magic because you were born to make this work. I have discovered that we are born to follow our calling. But it's important for me to say to you that it does take discipline, persistence, and self-love. It takes you doing something to collaborate with your calling. So the only magic bullet is this magic you were born with. And I can't make you live your life purpose if you're committed to ignoring it. I can't make you live your calling. I can't make you follow your calling if you refuse to do it, if you are committed to ignoring it. But I bet you're not committed to ignoring it, or you wouldn't be right here. So I cannot, will not, would not override your free will, and of course you wouldn't want me to. This is a collaboration between you and me and your calling. Does this sound like you? You know you have a calling, but you hate yourself. And I do mean hate yourself deep inside, because you keep working a job for a paycheck. Does that sound like you? I've been there. Are you terrified that following your calling is going to mean everyone thinks you've jumped off the deep end? Do you know what I mean? Because even though everyone has a calling, most people aren't following it. And people might think you're crazy for following yours. Do you look around you and wonder, again, because everyone has a calling but not very many people are following it, why you should even bother following your calling when everyone else just seems like they're trying to get rich or get fit or get the latest fancy toys? Doesn't it seem like there's an awful lot of that? Being healthy is one thing, but obsessing about getting fit is like obsessing about getting rich or obsessing about the new toys. It masks an inability to follow your deeper purpose. And this masterclass, this webinar, is giving you the ability to follow your purpose. Period. Or also, do you just want to give up and numb out? Because frankly, it just feels too hard. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you've stuck with it so far, and I hope you're feeling encouraged. Are you spending your leisure time on self-help, hobbies, and social media because you really don't want to face what you know, which is that your life is meaningless the way you're living it now? Someone else's life wouldn't be meaningless living that way, maybe, but you know deep in your heart that your life is meaningless the way you're living it now, because you're using self-help and hobbies and social media to ignore your calling, to help you ignore what you know, to help you not tune into your calling. Are you secretly afraid that not following your calling betrays not only you, but your children? When we live our calling, we not only live our best lives, we are modeling to our children how to live their best lives. So here's the big question. Does it just seem like you were put on earth to do something you'll never be able to do? Does it seem like you were put on earth to do something you will never, ever be able to do? Well, let me tell you what the real problem is. It's not that at all. The real problem is that you just haven't made the shifts I'm going to tell you about. The shifts you're here in this masterclass to understand. That's all. Here's the truth. Here's the reality. And it's very simple. Once you make the 5 shifts that I'm going to tell you about, you will wake up thrilled to be alive. You will look forward to what your day holds, and you will feel grateful for what's on your calendar. It may sound amazing, and I hope you're starting to believe that it could be true as you collaborate with me and walk with me on this journey. Let me say how important it is that you understand the real problem, okay? There's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't made these shifts. Your friends will wonder how you fell so deeply in love with your life. They're going to be noticing, they're going to be watching, and they're going to be wondering what's going on. Likewise, your family will celebrate your priorities. No resistance. You're going to be modeling how to live a joyful life. Your colleagues are going to wonder where you got all your energy. Everyone has a calling, and not everyone's following it. Your colleagues are going to notice, and they're going to wonder, what is that incandescent energy supply in you that they're observing? And the fact is, you will own your own mind. You will own your mind beyond distractions and media manipulation and all sorts of time sucks that we experience in this distractible culture, where it is far too frequent to be distracted or manipulated by media, or to have our time dribble away on drivel. Those things will no longer have any power over you. You will embody a sane, sacred use of your time. Before we dive into the shifts, I want to introduce myself just a little bit more. My name is Beth Rapps. That's really my name. I am a published philosopher with a PhD from a Research One university in how what we know empowers us. I love knowledge, and I love what it can do for us. Just like in this webinar, what you know empowers you. There's a very strong link between knowledge and action, and that's why I want to share this information with you. I'm a certified money coach from the Money Coaching Institute. I am a successful fundraiser of several decades, and I'm a time sculpting ninja. And you'll find out a bit more about why and how that became the case farther on in this webinar. For over 25 years, I've been an expert at helping my clients claim their time, their money, their focus, and their mindset in service to their callings. And that's what makes me so gifted and such an expert, that I can share these things with you. I am eager to give them away. I know they're valuable, and I'm giving them to you. So, I want you to walk with me collaboratively through this gateway as we begin discovering the 5 shifts. The first fundamental shift is to claim your birthright. That's the stone and the sword in the King Arthur legend. King Arthur was the only person who could pull that sword from that stone. You have a sword. You have a stone. There is a calling only you can fulfill, and you were given it at birth. And it was given to you so you would follow it without sacrificing. Let me talk a little bit more about that. People think you have to sacrifice in order to follow your calling. That doesn't make any sense. We wouldn't have been born with something that we had to give up our lives to do. That's inaccurate. Sacrificing is actually a detour away from your calling. If I catch my people, my clients, sacrificing, I know something is wrong. I know there's going to be resistance later on, and I know there's going to be resentment. That's why it's such a bright red flag to me. It's a no-no. Sacrificing is a detour away from following your calling. Taking your calling seriously, however, means taking yourself seriously. My purpose in this masterclass is that you understand and you take yourself seriously. Compromising yourself and compromising your calling by ignoring your calling is a recipe for lifelong unhappiness. Have you noticed? You're here because you've been unhappy. You're here because you think I can help you. And already there's been encouragement. Already there's been evidence that I can help you. Already you notice that you feel differently about your calling and yourself, I hope. Ignoring your calling, as I've mentioned, is terrible modeling for your kids and the other people around you. Not making your calling the North Star of your life is overriding your programming. It's that profound. When you claim your birthright, you are observing, you are following the North Star of your life. That's how you were designed. It's how you're born. Ignoring it and not making your calling the center, the North Star of your life, the guiding of your life, is exhausting. It's a slow soul death. And that may have been how you have been feeling up until now. I want to emphasize that your calling is already yours, okay? Your calling's already yours. You just need to claim it. You don't need anyone's permission to have a calling. Some people think that, like we're waiting for some kind of blessing, some famous person or our parents or our partner, someone we respect to tell us that we have a calling. No, don't do that. Don't wait for that. You don't need anyone else's permission. You were born with a calling. You also don't need anyone's permission to follow it. Let me tell you the crazy simple truth. Being born with your calling is all the permission you need. Period. Belittling, minimizing, ignoring, or dismissing your calling. That's how to fail. And that's why it may have felt like you were failing at doing it in the past. Because you did one of those things to make it go away, to make it small. You ended up making yourself feel small. And then we tend to look outside ourselves for importance when we do that, when we have diminished the source of our actual importance that we were born with. This is key. This is core. Everything, this is the fact, everything you've done so far is a step on your journey. It's an asset. This is core for you to understand. It's one of the 5 shifts for you to make. Everything you've done so far is a step on your journey. It's a building block. It's an asset. Everywhere you've been, everyone you've been, everything you've done. Those things were steps on the journey to following your calling. The thing about it is that you will realize that this is it. This is your time. Right here, right now. This is your calling speaking. Through me, I am turning you inward and tuning you in to the things that your calling is telling you. And I know this because this is what I do. This webinar is the very next step that you needed to take in following your calling. Your calling has brought you here. I'm going to move on after that radical shift to the next shift that you need to make. So here's an ant in one of my all-time favorite pictures, carrying more than its body weight. It's incredibly strong, and so are you. So up until this point, there can only be 2 reasons that you didn't own your strengths, your assets, in following your calling. You really didn't think you had any. Some people feel that way, and I'm sorry. Or you don't think they're sufficient. You don't think you really have what it takes. You still think there's something special, that people who follow their calling are different from you. And you don't have what it takes. The fact is, you've taken your strengths for granted your whole life. You would never have gotten this far if you didn't have strengths. And you had no idea they were part of your calling. You just didn't know. This is a wake-up call. Welcome to your strengths. You probably didn't know that your strengths were given to you and you developed them in order to follow your calling. There was a purpose. It's important to acknowledge and accept that purpose, to see the purpose. This is where knowledge leads us to action. Now you know your strengths were given to you and you developed them in order to follow your calling. In a way, you could say they were given to you by your calling. So it's far from the truth that you don't have what it takes. The problem has been you're not owning your strengths. The problem has been that you thought they weren't enough. That's been the problem. And you can stop right now. You can realize what they are. That you have what it takes. And you've had it. You've been developing it. You've been building it. You do not become a ninja by wanting to develop strengths. That's that idea that in the future, somewhere, somehow, you'll be a different person. You'll be one of those special people. No, you're already one of those special people. You were born with a calling. It's precious and it's yours. Using your strengths, claiming them, makes a gigantic difference. It's what makes you a ninja. Like they say, use it or lose it. What a difference. When you use it, it grows. Your calling will develop your strengths. It's been developing them and it will continue to do so. No more excuses. You have to be willing to give up not trusting yourself. Claiming your strengths is what makes the difference between your staying stuck and your having the life that you want. That's what I'm talking about here. You can have the life you want. Here's a case study. This is one of my clients. Meet Heather. Heather was struggling with severe self-doubt about trusting her calling as a healer. She had tried so many other tips and tools and classes and books and strategies to stay on the path to her calling. And she had failed. But she persisted until she met me. I taught Heather how to tune into her calling in a consistent way that she could trust 100%. I want to say 1,000%. Watching her, I see that she trusts her calling utterly profoundly now. Her calling has guided her as she learned through working with me how to map her time, money, focus, and especially her mindset. As you can tell, I really enjoy Heather's success. So let me share the third shift with you. And this is what I mean. The treasure map method. The treasure map method keeps you on track unfailingly. It shows you what you have and what you need for your calling with utter clarity. It guides you to the right next step every time. Let me digress just for a sec. You can tell that following your calling the old way was something where you needed to have had a perfect childhood, be a monk or a saint, have gone to college, preferably a prestigious one. You needed to go on a vision quest. Maybe you needed to know the right people or take the right workshop or read the right book. Maybe you needed to be extremely lucky. That was what you thought. Or you had to believe in yourself 100%. Maybe you thought you needed a lot of time to spare, or you needed to be wealthy, or you needed to notice what other people appreciate about you and make that your calling. These are all things I've heard before. They're things I've heard my clients say, and they are totally not true. They're accidental strategies. They might work. If they do, it's an accident. We sweep that away. The new way to follow your calling is you use the treasure map method, and it maps your buried treasures of time, money, focus, and mindset. These are your treasures. You can find them using the treasure map method. You see the path to your calling and you follow it. It's very clear, and you enjoy every step of the way because that's how you're designed. That's your birthright. That's your calling. So let me tell you a little bit more about the new way, and in particular what I'm calling the treasure map method, your new secret superpower. You have a certain amount of time, and you can map your time, and you find your buried treasure that you have been wasting, to be quite honest, because we all have. We are all doing it until we map it and we bring it to consciousness. Likewise, your money. You may think that special people have enough money to follow their calling. Not so. You have exactly the money you need. Absolutely the money you need, and I know this. This is your buried treasure. Again, we are wasting money. Small and large amounts we are wasting, and we can put them to better use by mapping them. Your focus is something that you can map in a different way than you map your time and your money, but you can begin to notice where your focus is. And like an old-fashioned needle on a record, you can pick the needle up on the record player and put it in a different place where you want it. Noticing when your focus is off, when your focus is on something you have no desire to be focusing on. How many times a day does that happen? And building the muscle by mapping your focus. The last thing that's part of the treasure map method in the new way of following your calling is your mindset. And it's down there at the bottom because it is fundamental, it is foundational to take account of your mindset, your self-talk, what you tell yourself, and your beliefs, including the secret beliefs or hidden beliefs that you don't even want to admit you have. All of that needs to come to the surface and be mapped. You need to take account of it. You need to take consciousness of it. This is how it works. This is the foolproof way to follow your calling. It begins with mindset as the most foundational principle in the treasure map method. Doing all four of these things together, it's absolutely unbeatable. There's absolutely no way you cannot follow your calling. So let me just zero in on time mapping for a moment to help you grasp the importance of what I'm talking about and the simplicity. Most of us are wasting time every single day, many times a day. Everything changes when you stop doing that. And you're inspired to stop doing that by following your calling. Finding the time sucks means finding the time to follow your calling. But time mapping shows you you have the time. And it shows you how much time you have and where you have it. You just have to be willing to see the time sucks. This is how you unbury your buried treasure of time. And this is how you become the master of all your time, no matter how much else you have going on. Period. So let me tell you a little bit more about me. I was in my 20s when I lost all my adrenal function due to overwork. It took me a while, but I figured out I was a workaholic, and that it could affect my health. Since I was in my 20s, I regained my health very quickly, but it definitely made me think. It made me think about my priorities. I knew that there had to be a secret. I knew there had to be a way that I could honor my abundant energies and my passion for work. My work is very important to me. When I was halfway through my PhD in my late 30s, I decided that on top of doing the work for the PhD, I would have a baby all during the same period. I thought that would be perfect timing because I wasn't working, which is like funny now that I look back on it. And that was a very challenging decision that I made because, of course, I was working. I was still recovering from being a workaholic, and I didn't understand that what I was doing was work. Well, my dissertation would have stalled out completely, except that I discovered the treasure map method. I created it and practiced and used it. I really put it to the test. The treasure map method is what allowed me to complete an award-winning dissertation, become Dr. Mom, and win a postdoc, which was the icing on the cake. So getting paid to do research is quite a coup when you are a newly minted PhD. All that is to say that the treasure map method is your reliable, practical, balanced way to transition to following your calling. No matter how much time or money you have. Remember, this is the new way. You don't have to become someone new. You don't have to become someone you're not. You are enough. You are plenty. And you have a calling. And this is a key piece in how to follow it. This third shift. The treasure map method is a strategy that makes the difference to living your life purpose and satisfying your soul hunger or staying hungry the rest of your life. It makes the difference between easily living your calling or being someone who has a calling and does not have a clue how to follow it. So I'll recap. To transition to following your calling right now as who you are, you must claim your calling as your birthright, own your strengths, and use the treasure map method's crystal clear guidance at every step. And now I want to show you how to do this with joy. So the way to do this with joy is the subject of the fourth shift. The fourth shift is leverage your passion. What do I mean by that? I mean that your calling is your North Star. And when you claim it, you claim the navigational power it gives you, just like the North Star. You make it the North Star of your life. Passion is your compass needle, always pointing north. It tunes you into your calling. It's nourishment for your journey. It makes each step a joy. I know this is in contrast to the way that you've been living. Passion is there to support you. It's part of the gift your calling gives you. It's not there to freak you out or make you sacrifice. You may not have known what to do with your passion for your calling in the past. It may have even seemed like an obstacle or an obstruction or a distraction. And yet your heart told you it wasn't, because here you are. No one has probably told you how strategic your passion can be. It keeps you motivated. You don't have to flog yourself. No more. Motivation keeps you moving forward with joy, not a sense of obligation. Once you claim your birthright and you own your strengths and you use the treasure map method, leveraging your passion makes you unstoppable. There is no longer any need to beat yourself into submission to duty. There is no need for severe self-discipline that results in the hideous inner conflict that you have been living with. This is why I say passion is strategic and you can leverage it. You can use it. It becomes an asset. It becomes your ally. I'm going to share another case study. This is Abraham. When Abraham got out of college, he knew his calling was working for justice. That was clear to him. But college and his new job as a community organizer in West Virginia did not teach him how to advocate for himself. He just assumed that getting to work in his passion area meant sacrificing. You can understand that. But it wasn't true. I showed Abe how to take a stand on himself, guided by his passion for justice. He now works as a consultant at the World Health Organization in Geneva, Switzerland, the UN agency, supporting community and stakeholder engagement and promoting air pollution and health solutions. You can tell I'm also really proud of Abe. So I say to you, leverage your passion. There's no need to force yourself to do what you know you love to do. This is a whole different way of living. It's a whole different ballgame. Leveraging your passion is the most efficient way to follow your calling. And it's also the most fun. So now I'm going to tell you about the fifth shift. The last shift is invest in a guide. If there's a guide who has been where you are going many times, it only makes sense to hire them. Let's face it, you've been using a map, but it is not getting you where you want to be quickly or happily. Every time I've hired someone to help me, I have noticed how much faster and more joyful it made my journey. It saves money and time as well as heartache to invest in a solid guide when it comes to following your calling. The fact is that if you don't do that, you may waste time and money, for sure. The most important thing is that you'll keep wasting what matters the most to you, your passion, your soulfulness, your energy, your intelligence. You'll waste your calling. A guide makes your journey faster, more direct, and a lot more fun. A guide helps you stay focused on your calling with joy. Especially if you find a guide who not only has the map, but will teach you to use it for the rest of your life. Why not avoid the pitfalls? Why not learn from an expert? Find the best person to guide you. And I know that the best person is someone who loves the journey. A person whose calling is to help you with your calling. That's who you're looking for. Someone who knows the pitfalls of following your calling inside and out, because they've been there. Someone with mastery in each area essential to acting on your calling. Basically, what I'm saying is if your journey is not a joy, your calling is telling you something. It is telling you to get a guide. Today, I promised you that I would teach you how to stop waking up and immediately feeling a wave of dread or even nausea at the thought of going to work. I told you I would teach you how to drop all the stress and anxiety from your current situation and actually feel excited about how you spend your time. Today I promised that you would know how to have more time than ever and know just what to do with it, even if time management has been a problem in the past. I promised you to show you how to reclaim your focus from distractions that eat your life. And I promised you how to live with joy and purpose every day, even if you have been stuck in minutia for what feels like your whole life. Last, and most important, I showed you how to make brilliant use of everything you've done and everywhere you've been in the past as an asset to following your calling, so you don't keep sacrificing. So let me say one more time what you need to follow your calling without sacrificing right now. You need to claim your birthright. You need to own your strengths. You need to use your secret superpower, which is the treasure map method. You need to leverage your passion. and you need to invest in a guide. Before I leave you, I want to tell you that you have a choice right now. This is how I can help. This is your choice. I have set aside time to meet with you personally, one-on-one, about how to use what I know to help you follow your calling. Whatever your personal challenges are, by this point in my white-haired life, I have worked with them before. When we meet on our call, we will outline exactly how to put these 5 shifts to work for you, no matter what your calling, no matter what your circumstances. I have perfect faith your calling was given to the right person, you. And I will demonstrate to you when we meet why I have that faith in you. And the cost? It is completely free. Absolutely free. But there is a catch. And the catch is that this call, this meeting, is not for everyone. Here's who this meeting with me is for. And I just want to remind you that everyone has a calling, but not everyone is ready to take the steps to follow it. You must be deeply interested in following your calling. You must be willing to know yourself in greater depth than you ever have before. You must be open to considering that what I share with you may work for you. So why would I be doing this? Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I'm passionate about your calling. I'm offering this meeting with you because it's my calling to burn up the obstacles to you following your calling. That's my calling. Our meeting is one of my favorite ways to do this. I love meeting with people to talk with them about their calling. Another of my favorite things is to guide people to reap the rewards of my experience and intuition as you transition to following your calling. It is possible that you may be one of those people. We will find that out in our meeting. So what should you do now? If you want this meeting, go to this website, raisingclarity.com/apply, and pick a time from my scheduler. It is that simple. RAIS like Sam, IN like Nancy, G like Glorious, CLARIT like Tom, Y.com, raisingclarity.com/apply, APPLY. You'll be taken to my scheduler. You'll pull down a time that works for you. I hope you decide that you want to honor your calling with this meeting. Thank you so much for your attention and your commitment and your heart, and again, your bravery and your tenacity. Your calling thanks you, and I thank you.